Welcome to Bankole's Nation. I'm your host, Bankole Thompson, and thank you so much for joining us. This is our second episode of Bankole's Nation Extra. Remember, Bankole's Nation Extra comes to you on Mondays, and of course, and then on Thursdays, we release our newest episode of Bankole's Nation. And of course, this week for Bankole's Nation's Extra, we're going to do an early release actually, because we're also talking and discussing and responding to Mayor Mike Duggan's endorsement of Mary Sheffield, the president of the Detroit City Council, as the next mayor of Detroit. Mayor Mike Duggan came out this week and endorsed Mary Sheffield as the next mayor of the city of Detroit. So Mary Sheffield is facing the Reverend Solomon Kinloch, the senior pastor of Triumph Church, in a general election matchup. We'll have Sam Riddle, the Dean of Political Consulting in Detroit, a veteran strategist, historian in his own right, a graduate of the University of Michigan Law School, is going to join us to break it all down in terms of what it all means for Mayor Mike Duggan, Mayor Mike Duggan endorsing Mary Sheffield for mayor. Stay with us. It's all coming up right after this break. All right, let's bring in the Dean of Political Consulting here in Detroit, Sam Riddle, a graduate of the University of Michigan Law School, but also has worked with many presidential campaigns, actually ran the Reverend Jesse Jackson's presidential campaign here in Michigan, and worked with Jerry Brown out of California, and of course, Colorado. Sam has been all over the place. And of course, he's a historian in his own right, a man with a lot of history, political history, not only in Michigan, Detroit, but also the nation. Sam, thank you for being here.
No, thank you, Bankole. Real life experience is the ultimate teacher. And just by virtue of staying alive, we're uniquely positioned to speak to you from downtown Detroit, where I live. And as you can see there, that's the Renaissance Center, which is about to be 2 towers less in the not too distant future. And what's interesting, Bankole, is the way development is going. If you look there, there's the Blue Cross building, and then there's the newest Dan Gilbert Hudson building, hundreds of millions of dollars in tax abatements and benefits. Corporate welfare has poured into that structure. But no, I'm leaning against a tree here, man. Just chilling, a lot of shade, a lot of sun. Talk to me.
All right. Well, let's begin, Sam. You know, the shooting this morning at Henry Ford Hospital. You and I were there actually. This earlier, a few hours earlier, and police are looking for Mario Green, this brother out of Bloomfield Hills, who allegedly shot and killed his ex-wife at Henry Ford Health System. Sam, this is one more reminder, though, of the pandemic of violent crime in Detroit. And we have a mayor's race, and this issue is not front and center. I want you to comment on the situation here with the sister who's allegedly killed by her ex-husband, Mario Green.
Well, ironically, at the intersection of the John Lodge Service Drive and the Boulevard, Grand Boulevard, a woman, thin, dressed woman, just like she had just thrown on some clothes, ran past us as we were at that corner. The fire truck was blocking the intersection so no one could go up toward the hospital. And she was crying. I said, "What's wrong?" She said, "That was my sister. That was my sister." So evidently, the deceased, the victim, her sister, we had a chance encounter outside of Henry Ford Hospital, which was already a crime scene. But understand that there is a pandemic of violence going down in Detroit right now. And no matter how the PR mavens paint it in Detroit, the reality is that people, young people, old people, are being victimized by violence, caused in part by the frustration and the mental issues that occur when you grow up in America's one of America's poorest cities. Now, I don't know what went down between the shooter and the woman that was gunned down. But I do know one thing. We've got to address the situation in Detroit right now. We don't need any more theoreticians. We need more police on the street. We need more vehicles in plain sight patrolling the neighborhoods of majority Detroit, not just Greektown, not just downtown, not just where the centers of corporate welfare are, but where those most likely to die from violence reside. And I can tell you right now, there's a direct connection there, and the aging population that is also killing and dying in this killing field called Detroit.
Yeah. Do you get a sense? Do you feel that any of the campaigns, this Solomon Kinloch campaign for mayor and the Mary Sheffield campaign for mayor, are addressing this issue of violent crime head on?
No. I feel that both the Kinloch campaign and the Sheffield campaign, when it comes to addressing what's happening almost daily in terms of violent crime, both campaigns seem to suffer from a form of paralysis. We don't need to hear some lofty plan thrown up in a dog and pony show afterwards. Hell, Henry Ford Hospital was an active crime scene with 2 victims of murder by gunshot occurred certainly within hours of one another. And right then, hell, if I'm really doing, and I do have some relationship with those that support the Kinloch campaign, but if I had my druthers, I can damn well bet you that Solomon Kinloch would have been at the crime scene letting us know what the 12 years under Duggan and Sheffield have not gotten us. Peace in the valley, peace in the valley. There's no peace in Detroit right now. And we can do something about that. Something. Now, we aren't going to stop every lunatic from gunning down someone, but we can certainly create an atmosphere where people will think when they can look up and see a police car circling some of the toughest neighborhoods in America, in the killing fields of Detroit, where they can look up and know that there's 2 officers walking foot patrol, not in Greektown where you got 2 and 3 officers abreast with metal detectors, and what Councilwoman Waters helped free with her call for gun-free zones. The reality is that too little is being done about too much violence in the killing fields of Detroit. The people of Detroit deserve better. And I know, for example, that Solomon Kinloch understands that. But when you are aligned with a campaign whose management would rather focus on plans to stem crime instead of going to the crime scene and telling us what that plan is. We don't need to see you speaking from a sterile environment, Pastor Kinloch, Council President Sheffield. We need you guys on the battlefield now.
You know, I like the your use of the refrain, "Peace in the Valley." I might add another refrain. Looks like there is no balm in Gilead. So, but let me stay with that though. Wow. And with the campaigns of Sheffield and Pastor Solomon Kinloch. Sam, you've been you are a veteran. You've served the nation well, and I want to use a military terminology here. The Sheffield campaign fired in the general election. They fired the first salvo with Mayor Mike Duggan's endorsement of Mary Sheffield for mayor. I want to get your take in terms of what do you think of that endorsement and the Solomon Kinloch campaign and what their response should be. I know Solomon Kinloch has come out and basically said Mayor Duggan doesn't get the right to select to choose a successor. But the Sheffield campaign fired its first salvo by having the sitting mayor endorse Mary Sheffield as the next person to succeed him.
Well, let's focus on that, okay? Are we endorsing a candidate for mayor, or are we furthering plantation politics where the next overseer of the plantation has been selected? I know folks don't like that term plantation, but when majority Detroit is not involved in the policy decisions because Detroit City Council abdicating its role in a legislative system of checks and balance, but this is a Detroit City Council that abdicates its role during the budgetary process. They just approved a $3 billion with a B dollar budget. The people of majority Detroit need to be playing more of a role instead of being treated as subjects in a fiefdom, a kingdom. I just have a lot of problems when people can say you are the designated hitter, Mary Sheffield. Get in the ball game and hit a home run. Oh, I may be governor then. And we're still playing team ball. And when you say, Mayor Duggan, that you picked the person most able to get the job done, and I see these TV commercials, Mary Sheffield, where you tout your 12 years of experience. What is 12 years of damn rubber stamping worth to majority Detroit, black Detroit? I'm sick of all this crap of dodging bullets. The bullets have already been fired on the streets and in the policy decisions that leave majority Detroit black folks defenseless. The real bullets are being fired by AI and people making decisions that benefit corporate welfare, while we see programs like Head Start decimated with no leadership that can address Donald Trump. And right now, the killing fields of Detroit have made Detroit a prime target for the military takeover that may be coming from Donald Trump. You better hear me. You better hear me.
Sam, you've said that in the wake of Duggan's endorsement of Mary Sheffield, you've basically indicated, you've said this, that if people like Duggan, they would love Mary Sheffield. Explain, what do you mean by that?
Well, no. If people like Mary Sheffield, people, if you like Duggan, you'll certainly love Mary Sheffield. They're cut from the same cloth. Mary Sheffield, in her leadership role at Detroit City Council, has been the ultimate rubber stamp for the Duggan administration. Of course, you want to continue that leadership. I get it. And I'm not saying that Mary Sheffield could not get the job done at Detroit City Hall, but I am saying that majority Detroit black folks need to have a much more substantive role in how leadership functions on this plantation, Detroit.
There are many people who feel undervalued in the recovery of Detroit, Sam. They strongly feel, and with the town hall that I did with Councilwoman at large Mary Waters, who was the highest vote getter in the primary election, the town hall at Wayne County Community College on the Detroit Land Bank, people came out, and we saw many people who feel strongly undervalued in this Detroit. I'm wondering, though, from your take, how you think the Kinloch campaign speaks to them, because if the Sheffield campaign was speaking to them, clearly it will be Sheffield doing the town hall on Land Bank, but it's Mary Waters who actually did the town hall on the Land Bank Authority. I'm wondering, though, how you think the Kinloch campaign should, of course, speak to the undervalued population of Detroit.
Everything that Mary Waters is doing should be a role model for how the Kinloch campaign should be. The Kinloch campaign should be a living organism. It can't be stuck and creating a bureaucracy, a campaign bureaucracy, paralyzed, going into committee meetings, trying to make committee decisions. Leadership, Pastor Kinloch, leadership leads. And this is a Pastor Kinloch that can lead, that can do the job full time as a Detroit mayor if the people so select him, elect him. But the problem is that the people have to see you, touch you, breathe the same air next to you. And it's almost as if Kinloch advisors, whomever they may be, have put up a wall, almost a Trump wall, to keep Kinloch from his real base of support, which are the people that don't vote because they don't believe they have anyone to vote for. When you're bragging because you got a 17% turnout, that means that 83% of the people in Detroit didn't give a damn about your candidacy, whomever you are. And we have to create a drumbeat in Detroit that makes people want to participate in this democratic process. I've seen that happen before. I've seen the numbers, Bankole Thompson, where the experts from CNN and other networks said that Freeman Hendricks could not lose, that Freeman Hendricks was going to trounce Kwame Kilpatrick. I now realize what an honor it was to be invited into a room where the number one lawyer for Detroit right now was in that room, where Christine Beatty was in that room, where the head of one of the heads, chieftains of the Teamsters Union, was in that room, where, yes, you, Mike Duggan, was in the room, and I was in that room too, after having been a harsh critic. One of the individuals that worked with Hugh Perkins and helped let it rip it with Fox off the ground. I can tell you that the unbeatable Freeman Hendricks was beaten because the real majority of Detroit, they listened to the drumbeat we created. And people that hadn't been voting, people that don't get invited to the cocktail parties, voted and said, go to hell with your plantation politics. Now, everything that ensued after that is a completely different damn story. But the point I'm making is that you can win against all odds. Freeman Hendricks couldn't be beat, but he got beat down by the streets of Detroit. When the streets roar, believe me when I tell you, this election is not on lockdown for Mary Sheffield. Okay. But I know the politics of America and the politics of Detroit.
All right.
You know, when Donald Trump came to office, he had learned from his first term as president, and he put unquestionable loyalists in.
Yeah.
Not resumes, loyalists.
I hear you.
Who took care of the business of America from the MAGA, Trump, white supremacist view. Now, in Detroit, there are some people in key positions that don't give a damn about democracy. Their people won. Now, this is who we want in this position. This is who we want to see in procurement. These are people that we want to see contracts go to.
All right. Let me ask you this, Sam, then. You think there's a clear path to victory for Reverend Solomon Kinloch?
There is definitely a roadmap to victory for Pastor Kinloch, but you have to be able to move quickly, decisively, intelligently. Pastor Kinloch was gifted with an intellect that can more than deal with any issues that arise in the city of Detroit. But you're on the playing field when people are being gunned down prior to the election, when Henry Ford Hospital becomes twice within hours a crime scene on the boulevard and a crime scene in the basement of City Hall. And you can't sit idly by waiting days to come up with whatever your plan might be to combat crime. Damn it, get on the crime scene and let us know what you want to do right now. Because by the time you get ready to do your little jive pony dog and pony show, by the time you get ready for that, it's old news. You got to be there when it's going down. And you got to confront everyone that's going to be doing these 30-second TV spots. Millions of dollars will be spent. And they'll be telling you how good they've been for Detroit the last 12 years. Hell, the last 12 hours has been enough. 12 years? We can count. And when you talk about crime going down, understand something. When you look at Wallet Hub, a valid
I received their email.
storage of data, you'll see that Detroit is number 2 in violent crime.
Yeah.
And you say it's going down. It might be going down, but that's like the Detroit school system. They're bragging from going from 8% reading at grade level to 11%. Still, the math tells me 89% of Detroit can't read at grade level, and yet you reward failure. Detroit is not winning in the killing fields on our streets in Detroit. They're killing fields now. And you brag, well, crime went down X%, then why in the hell is Detroit number 2 in violent crime, according to Wallet Hub? Is that anything to pump your chest about? Hell no. A lot of work to be done. And if you say you got experience, the experience is what level of failure when it comes to addressing public safety and crime in Detroit. What level of failure are you satisfied with? Never be satisfied with failure, whether it's in the streets or in the classroom.
Sam, let me ask you this. I want you to comment. You watched the interview I did with Dr. Nefertari Nkenge, the oldest daughter of the late Detroit City Councilwoman, Reverend Joanne Watson. And I want to frame the question in this context. With Mary Sheffield running for mayor, people are saying she'll be the first Black woman mayor of Detroit. She'll be the first woman mayor, and so forth. And there are folks who are very excited about that. Obviously, Wood Mac would mean an advancement as well. But when I look at the totality of it, and I look at that interview with Dr. Nefertari Nkenge, the oldest daughter of the former late Councilwoman Joanne Watson, not every woman, Mary
Sheffield is no Joanne Watson. Nor does she have the DNA of the offspring of Joanne Watson, Nefertari. Believe that.
So I want you to comment on that itself. Nefertari, the interview showed that there are grassroots Black women in Detroit who have a problem with Mary Sheffield and want to see an agenda, because that's what Dr. Nefertari Nkenge was saying, that she wants to see an agenda.
Well, the people of majority Detroit, and we're talking Black folks here. White folks are going to get their corporate welfare. The issue is, what can we leverage from the office of mayor that will improve the quality of life for Black folks in the majority Detroit? And I'm not talking about the haves. I'm talking about the have-nots, may never haves, that don't participate because they don't see a Detroit or in America for them. I think that she has to show that she has an agenda that is going to reach Black women with children and no viable jobs or careers. What is she going to do about not throwing around the buzzword affordable housing, but to make housing really affordable that's decent enough? What are you going to do about our seniors crammed into the equivalent of senior concentration camps with these high rises where crime is also running rampant? I was just in one, heard the woman lamenting the reality that 5 murders had been committed in her building on Jefferson. And people were still dying normal deaths. But 5 killed in her building. She lives in there. People live in a state of fear in Detroit. All over Detroit. And our seniors, who already pay the price by just simply getting to be old, are having their lifespans cut short by the stress of violence in the apartment next door in the same building, being bullied and robbed in elevators. I'm not theorizing. I heard the testimonials of residents that came to that meeting convened by Councilwoman at Large Mary Waters. I was there. I heard that. The police were there. We all heard that. We are living in a state of fear that people in Detroit should not be subjected to. And Mary Sheffield and you too, Solomon Kinloch, need to tell us what the hell you're going to do to sweep away the fear so dominant in Detroit. And when something's going down in Detroit, catch an Uber, Kinloch, and get to the crime scene, because there are more crime scenes to come before the November election.
With Mayor Duggan's endorsement of Mary Sheffield, I take the position, and a lot of people take the position, that it further affirms that Mary Sheffield is the establishment candidate. Now, what do you think?
Well, hell yeah, that's not even a discussion. Of course, Mary Sheffield is the establishment candidate. Follow the money. Damn, hell, I'm a little slow myself, but even I can see. And I just had cataract surgery on both sides, and I see pretty good. But
Right,
even I can see that Mary Sheffield is the establishment candidate.
Yeah.
Ask Horace Sheffield; he'll tell you. Won't you, Horace?
And we have invited Mary Sheffield on this platform, Sam, and we're yet to hear from the campaign.
She can hold her own.
I spoke directly to the campaign. I spoke directly to the campaign and asked and invited her, because her supporters have been saying that we've been too hard on Mary Sheffield. I said, well, we'll invite her.
Hell, it doesn't sound like I'm being that gentle on Kinloch.
Yes, that's right. But
and I love, believe me when I tell you, in my heart, I love both Mary Sheffield and Solomon Kinloch. I love them both enough to say, do something. Just do something. And you've had so many rehearsals being a rubber stamp. Do you actually know how to lead, Council President Sheffield?
Yeah. One of the things that you've talked about, and I want you to explore that here, though, because I think that a lot of people are not paying attention to this, the general election, but also the race for mayor. You call it the big leagues. This is one of the largest cities in the nation. This is Michigan's largest city. This is the home. Detroit is where all the industries are headquartered in Michigan. It's a very big deal to become the mayor of Detroit. Talk about that and the significance of that as it relates to what you always talk about, majority Black Detroit, and why the candidate, Kinloch, should be speaking to that issue.
Well, first of all, let's understand something. When you play on the playing field of Detroit politics, you are in the major leagues, because people want to know, who do you like for governor? Who do you like for president of these United States? People want to know that. People want to know right now, Sheffield, right now, Kinloch, what are you going to do when Donald Trump rolls in and says, well, you say crime's down, but my data says something else, and I'm bringing in the United States military? You're in the major leagues, people. Conduct yourself accordingly. The world is looking at you. Please understand that. I hope we didn't lose my picture then.
No, we got it.
Okay. I don't see it. Okay.
I see you.
Okay.
Yeah, but and I think that gets lost in the conversation, though, the wider implications of being the mayor of Detroit, which in itself requires that the candidates be prepared to serve on day one, because this is prime time. You're not running to be president of your neighborhood Black club.
I think that Black club presidents
would do a better
easily
job.
Provide a lot of the leadership and policy foundation we need for the city of Detroit. Right. And that they got to be more than recipients of plants,
right,
and brooms and shovels. We have some very bright people in Detroit that are often overlooked, even though Coleman Young may try to another one of his Spirit of Detroit awards. But the real award will be when from day one, Sheffield and or Kinloch will be able to take leadership. Reimagine and redo how law enforcement works here. Do a real budget that reorders the priorities of city government that is more inclusive, especially in terms of the needs of majority Detroit. And we're talking about black folks there, be clear. Don't be afraid to be black. Don't be afraid to be black. Be black, be strong. Take care of our business, damn it. Why do we have to say that?
Yeah, no, I hear you, Sam Riddle. Dr. Nefertari Nkenge also mentioned in my interview with her that she attended an election eve broadcast that Mildred Gaddis hosted, and that she was hearing Mary Sheffield kept referring to council member at large Mary Waters. She kept referring to Mary Waters, and then she was wondering maybe we have the wrong person running for mayor. I want you to talk about that in the context of the propensity for Mary Sheffield, the president of city council candidate for mayor here, referencing another council member as opposed to speaking on her own achievements and what she's been able to do. Is it that Mary Sheffield cannot point to much substance in her tenure as council president?
Look, you've either done something or you haven't done anything or you're pimping the efforts of others. I believe that Mary Sheffield is a very bright young lady. I think she's capable of leading Detroit. But, you got to be able to deal with the Sam Riddles and the Bankole Thompsons and Detroit at large, let alone Mary Waters at large. Because, see, there's a reason Mary Sheffield did not buy one yard sign.
Mary Waters.
Res ipsa loquitur. That's a Latin phrase that means the thing speaks for itself. You've either done the work in the last 3.5 years like Councilwoman at large Mary Waters has done, or you haven't. If you've done the work, the people know who's done the work. We don't have to try to psych them out with yard signs and meaningless babble in those 30-second TV commercials. But we're suckers for TV. And don't be a sucker for TV. You know the people that have been providing real leadership. You know the people that took on the land bank. I didn't see you there, Mary Sheffield. And people were being hustled and played out of their houses, homes. See, you almost have to be able to, as a leader in Detroit, mayor, confront the poverty. Don't look the other way and pretend it doesn't exist. Confront the systemic racism. Confront and deal with this corporate welfare that's going to exist. Edith and Gilbert are going to get there. The issue is what can you leverage? I see the foundation work being done by the Gilbert Foundation. It's damn good. They're doing good work. But were we not confronting the disparities in income, the glaring, inhumane disparities in how education does not work in the city of Detroit? If we don't structure confrontation, nothing will ever change. And Horace, don't get angry, man. But we have to operate also from a premise of love, not fake love, agape love, real love.
Tell me what you think about this as we round up this interview. I watched the press conference that was held that Council President Mary Sheffield, running for mayor, held with Mayor Mike Duggan for the announcement of his endorsement, and I saw the way they hugged each other. It's almost looked like an alliance made in heaven. Talk about that. Why you think Mary Sheffield, from a seasoned political strategist like yourself, the dean of political consulting here in Detroit, why do you think Mary Sheffield is so excited about Mayor Duggan's endorsement? What does she see that perhaps the average person?
Well, first of all, Mayor Duggan is a master tactician and strategist. I'm not sure about you, Eddie, but the point is that Mayor Duggan knows his Detroit. Our Detroit, maybe not so well. No one wants to deal with our Detroit, but Duggan and Sheffield know Duggan's Detroit. And it meant a lot, even though when people go to vote, they vote their conscience, who they want to see in office. And most of the people in Detroit know the difference between real leadership and TV commercials, I like to think, at this point. What they fear right now is that endorsement by Mayor Duggan could well be an Achilles heel if majority Black Detroit gets angry enough at what they don't have, because corporate Detroit and establishment politicians have been lining their own political pockets, so to speak. And they intend to do that some more if Mary Sheffield is elected. That endorsement meant a lot. It meant a lot to Mary Waters. When from Mackinac Island, Mayor Duggan endorsed Mary and went in on Cherie's lack of attentiveness to the issues of Detroit and that 13th congressional district. But and $10 million was at least spent against Mary. We've never seen over $10 million spent against a candidate that wasn't even in Congress, because the rich protect their children and themselves. Do you hear me? The rich protect themselves and their children. No one is looking out for that single Black woman with 3 or 4 kids and maybe another one on the way, living in squalor. I mean, I've been in King Estates. I've been on the west side, deep east side. I know where the pockets of crime and poverty are. No one is addressing that beyond saying, oh, we're going to get affordable housing. What the hell does that mean? Buzzword to nothingness. Stop it.
All right. Well, with that, we'll end our interview here with Sam Riddle, the Dean of Political Consulting. Sam, thank you so much for being available for this interview.
No, thank you, Bankole Thompson, for your true journalistic approach.
Thank you so much for joining this week's Bankole's Nation Extra. And of course, we'll see you next week for more compelling episodes of Bankole's Nation.